Turn to the book of Proverbs, please, and I'm going to look at chapter 26 and also Proverbs 1 and 26. So if you find that, good to be back here for the Bible conference, the beginning of it, and Joe is with me. Joe and I flew in yesterday, so we landed from Thailand via Japan. It's a longer flight if you've done that, but got here, felt okay, and just really wanting to be a blessing. We are scheduled to leave here to go back to Thailand on Thursday, so it's a fairly quick turnaround for us, but good to be here. You know, I won't sort of rode all the time in the peripherals, but my wife sends greetings. I probably should have brought her, but we'll get into that. Normally she's glad to have the break, but this time when I left, she said, you know, I could have come. I said, well, you should have come. And she said, well, I would have come. I said, well, you should have come. And so anyway, but I know we're going to be seeing a few of you later in the year. You're planning to come to us, so that'll be great. Okay, so this morning for this time, I just want to give you a somewhat practical lesson on this title, because you've got to title it something, right? What wise people do and what fools do. And I want to point out some things here. When I got saved, the man who led me to Christ, I was a teenager and I'd grown up in a home in a government housing district in Australia, had never set foot in a church. I certainly never heard the gospel, had no understanding. When I got saved, the man who led me to Christ, from the very first weeks of me being saved, began to talk to me about the importance of wisdom. And I don't know, I'd even heard the word wisdom before. Or I hadn't heard it much. But he would bring it up a lot. And I would hear him say about some things, he'd kind of go, that's wise. And so very early on, it gripped my heart that wisdom was something I needed. And so I began to pray from about age 14 that God would give me wisdom. And I've continued in that prayer, and I continue to pray it because I consider myself needy. It is something I need. And on occasions in ministry and life, I may do something, and I may say something like this to myself about what I did. I may say, you know, that was not wise. And what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to learn. And I'm trying to learn from God, but I'm trying to learn myself as well. And one of the things you have to do is to learn yourself. All right, and it can be more difficult than you know, because you are somewhat you are not always open to understanding your true self. You're not always in agreement with being the best person to understand yourself. So how do you understand yourself? You look into the mirror of God's Word, and God will show you who you are. And there's some things about you that are good and blessed, and God will want to use those things, and He'll put His blessing on those things. There may be some other things about you that would need to change. Okay, I know I have things that need to change, and God will periodically point out some of those things. So I guess it starts with the notion that you should desire to be wise, and you should desire to not do things that are foolish. All right, God calls some people by their actions in the Bible, would call them a fool. Now, if God says somebody is a fool, He's not trying to be derogatory or abusive. He's not using that word as a put down or an insult. And we have to understand that, because typically we use the word that way. But actually, when God uses it, He will identify what that person is doing that is foolish. Are you with me? And He'll point out some things that will say, you know, a fool would do this, but a wise man will do this. Now, I aspire to be wise because I need that in my life and ministry. Sometimes I do some things that I will look at and the Bible will convict me that that was foolish. It's foolish to think that way. It's foolish if you do that. And I want to be better, and I want to allow God to show me myself, and I hope that you desire that as well. If you don't desire that, you will not grow. You cannot keep your spirituality at a distance from yourself. You must allow it to permeate you. You must allow God to point out some things in your life. And and sometimes it's, may I say, it's grievous on occasions, the things that God points out about you to you, particularly when they're true. And you think, I am that way. Or, I do that. But that's the beginning of getting better in any given area. All right? So Proverbs chapter 1, verse number 5, it says, a wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain to wise counsels. All right? So a couple of things there that are pointed out about a wise man. The first thing is that he will hear. And that's a big one. Because we like to talk more than we like to listen. We like people to listen to us more than we want to be listening to others. But one of the characteristics of somebody who's wise is that they will have an ear to hear things, and you will want to hear. We have in Thailand, obviously they speak Thai. But if they were to say, I know something, they will say, Pom Lu, I lu. Or if they say, I know already, they'll say, Lu Lao, Lu Lao. And I don't know how many times that comes up. You're talking to somebody and they will say, Lu Lao, Lu Lao, which is, I know, I know. The problem is that when they say, I know, they actually don't. And it's terribly frustrating. And you, in a culturally sensitive way, you have to say, actually, listen to me, you actually don't know. And what I'm saying, and sometimes our first response is, if not verbally, inwardly, I know. And that can become a barrier to actually knowing. Because there's a reluctance to hear. Now, if you want to be better than you are, and I want to be better than I am. So whatever I am, the Lord knows the true measure of that. But whatever I am, I aspire to be better. Okay, I want to, because that's the second part, is that it said that a wise man will hear, but he'll increase learning. And so I want to be increasing my learning. And what the Lord wants to do with you is make you better than you are. Okay, he wants your learning to increase. And if he's going to do that, you're going to have an ear to hear. And you're going to have to start with the Lord, that you are not overly sensitive to the point that, if God points something out, that you think that, God is just being unkind and nasty to you. Right. When actually he's really trying to help you. So first of all, you've got to get yourself in a place you allow the Lord to speak to you. So sometimes you may say something and the Lord will say, you should not have said that. Or sometimes you may act a certain way with your wife or your husband where the Lord would say, you should not have done that. And part of getting better is opening your heart to let God say some things to you that if he's going to say it, it means it needed to be said. The secondary part of that is you go a little further, is that you allow yourself to hear from God as he speaks through others. All right, so that you can receive what the Lord is trying to say to you, but he might be using somebody else to say it. The opposite to that is that anytime somebody else says something that you don't want to hear or you are reluctant to receive, you blame that person for saying what they said. All right? And what you fail to see is that there was actually something higher going on here, and the Lord is trying to help you. And brethren, we do need the help. Whatever you do, wherever you are, whatever area of life you serve, or we do need the help. And it's very important to stay in a place where the Lord is able to talk to you, you're able to hear, you're able to receive. One of the great things about God is God is never just trying to put you down. Now, if you've had a relationship in your life where somebody was abusive, or you had a parental figure in your life that was that you could never please, you know, or somebody you knew who was particularly condemning continuously, a relationship like that, here's the danger with that. The danger is you then project that onto God. That's the danger. You actually may be in a place where you're finding it hard to receive because in your life journey, you were in a relationship or you had somebody in your life that whenever they said something to you, they were not trying to be helpful. They were trying to be abusive or put you down or condemning. Or it seemed like no matter whatever you did, it never pleased them and it was never good enough. Okay, the Lord is not like that. He's not like that. And be careful if you've had a human relationship somewhere like that, that you're not projecting that onto God, because it'll shut you down from learning. It's going to stop you where you are. And you know, you'll just kind of be at this place the rest of your life. And when really you could be better than you even are now if you'll just allow the Lord. So understanding, I don't know everything. There's a lot of things I need to learn. There's things I need to learn that I don't yet understand I need to learn. There's things I need to know that I presently don't understand I need to know. And the Lord is going to show me that progressively. All right, He's never going to overload you, because His goal is not to make you drop or to fall under the weight of your inadequacy. He never wants to do that to you. So what He'll do, He'll instruct you progressively. And He'll teach you a little bit here. He'll point out something a little bit here. And as you grow in that, you're at a place where you're able to receive some more. But we have to settle the fact that I'm in this continual process of learning. I don't know everything. I haven't got it all worked out. I don't even understand myself sometimes. And I need the Lord to help me with that. When we see people come to Christ in Thailand, first of all, they get Jesus and they get heaven. And their sins are forgiven and there's salvation happens and they get eternal life. But then what we see is God begins to help their life right now. And they start to get better now. And they start to understand things they never understood before. And they start to understand things about themselves that they never understood before. And that should be the normal process of what happens in somebody's life when they get saved. So wise men hear, they don't stop learning, they will seek wise counsel. You know, there's a time when you may not know what to do, and wisdom will be that God will point you to someone who does. And so it can be wise to know where to source what you need when you don't have what you need. Does that make sense? There's an element of wisdom to that. So I don't know everything in every area, but the Lord can help me to know who should I go to about this? Who should I seek counsel about this? And by the way, who should I not seek counsel about this from? You know, it's like the person who wanted to give everybody instruction about how to have a good marriage, and they felt qualified because they'd had 5 of them themselves. You know, and that may not be the best person. So you want to identify, you know, who do you seek counsel from in a particular matter? And you would be wise to think about that, to identify that, where those sources are. So that's some of the things that a wise man will do. Proverbs 26 points out some things about fools. And again, I want to say that there's no attempt here to put anybody down or to be sort of, unkind to anybody. That's not the tone of this, but it's identifying behavioral patterns of things that God calls foolish, or the actions of fools. So it is also fair to say, if I do these things, I am doing as a fool does. Okay. Now, I didn't say you, I said me. But truthfully, it's all of us. If I do these things, then I am doing as a fool does. And I need to know, because I need wisdom. I need to understand. Okay, that's not wise. That's foolish. All right, and so a number of things are pointed out here. Let's look at verse number, by the way, verse number 10 says, the great God, right, and you know who that is, right? So you can, no, seriously, you can pause there for a moment. Yeah. The great God. Here it is. Amen. That formed all things. Amen. Okay, and this is the great God that formed all things, both rewardeth the fool and rewardeth transgressors. So the word reward there is not like a good thing. Okay, just to, it means it comes back to you. It's going to be given back to you. All right, it's not a reward like, you give the dog a biscuit and his tail's all, and it's not that. It means it comes back to you. And who ensures that? The great God who formed all things. He's going to ensure that we receive according to what we do. All right? So in life, if you understand, in life, you don't get what you want, you get what you are. And you need to work on who you are. Because we all aspire to things, we all want things, but you don't just get what you want, you get back who you are. And who you are determines what you do. You do what you do because of who you are. Does that make sense? So sometimes the who you are part has to transition or change. Because I've got to change who I am so that I change what I do. Because I'm doing what I am. And I'm being rewarded accordingly. And if you don't understand that, you'll be forever perplexed why some people seem to have more and some people seem to have less. Why some people seem to see enlarged blessings and others lesser so. Okay, so it's not about technique and it's not about sort of, outward polish or performance. It's about who you are. And the most important thing to success in any spiritual endeavor is who you are. Because the techniques and processes and methodologies are different with many people who God uses. And you may observe some of that and you might be able to learn some things, but the greatest thing you can do is firstly work on who you are. And you're going to have to be transparent with yourself in that process. And you're going to have to let the Lord show you some things. And I don't know if this happens to you, but on occasions I read some Bible verses and I cringe. And I don't cringe because I'm thinking about you. I cringe because I'm thinking about me. And I'll read something and go, I do that. I do that a lot, actually. Okay, but that's good. That's good. Because God never says, yeah, you do. He doesn't do that. God would say, good you see that. Good you see that. And I'll help you with that. See, that's the right spirit. Spiritual growth is essential. Don't stop. Don't stop. You must keep going. You've got to keep going. There's another step. There's some more to learn. There's a better way. You need to identify some things in yourself. Okay, you've got to keep going. You've got to keep going. And the Lord will be wanting to show you. He wants to show you. He can't show you if you shut him out. And he can't show you if you shut out the person he's trying to use to help you. Okay? So every sermon was not just preached at you. But it felt that way. But it wasn't. Okay, the preacher did not have you in mind as he was doing that. He was not thinking, but you might feel that way. But if you're not careful, you know what you'll do? You'll do this. There it is again. And you'll stop receiving. And I don't want to stop receiving. I don't want to stop receiving. I have much to learn. I want to be better. And then as I learn, oh, by the way, I want to transfer that to someone else. I want to help. All right, so he said, the great God is going to ensure that we're going to get what we are. So don't blame other people. You say, yeah, but they did. Yeah, let me tell you something. That'll happen again and again and again. Because those same people, you'll find them everywhere. Right? I used to think Australians were obnoxious, and I flew to Thailand and found out Thais are just the same. All right? It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Because people are people. All right? So I'm not going to fix that part. So, Lord, what's the point here? The point is, Wayne, that you're going to grow and you're going to be better and you're going to understand some things that you don't understand now. And if you allow me to do that, I'll use you. So there's a process, all right? So a few things. Verse number 11. As a dog returneth to his vomit, so a fool returneth to his folly. So fools go, here it is, fools go back to the same things that make them sick and make them sad. They go back to it. Do you know why the dog vomits it out? Because it's no good. And it's got to get it out. But then it eats it again. You know what it's doing? It's putting it back in. You say, well, that's a dog. Yeah, but that's all too often people too. A fool will go back to the same things that already made you sick before. The same thing you already know, that doesn't work. Why do you go back there? The same things you know that just brought sadness in my life before, then why do you go back to that? See, that's the action of a fool. When God has pointed out something already and you've seen that's damaging to me, that hurts me, that makes me sick, that makes me sad, that's not good. Then a fool would go back to that. So that's the action of a fool. All right, and we don't want to be that, but the Lord points it out. By the way, I sent that Bible verse to a Thai one day, who and I know it's kind of harsh, but it was a person anyway. So I sent a text, and they were recently saved, but they didn't really know the Bible. And this is, by the way, one of my best men now, but he fired back to me, "Don't you speak that way to me." And I fired back, this is all in Thai, so, you know, and I fired back, it's a Bible verse. And he fired back, that's not in the Bible. And his mind was, and I said, yes, it is, and no, God wouldn't say that. And so then I sat down and, you know, he realized that now God did say that. But that can be our reaction sometimes, because it can just seem like, well, that's harsh, but is it not true? Is it not true? And is it not true that on occasions in our life we have done that? God has taken something out and we've gone and picked it up again. And you don't have to, as long as inside you're going, Okay, so that's the actions of a fool. Okay, if God has showed you already this is not good for you, this damages you, this is not what you should have in you, then don't return to something that God's already made clear if he has. All right, so that's the first thing. A fool goes back to the same things. Okay. Verse number 13, The slothful man saith, there is a lion in the way, a lion is in the streets. And then in verse number 16, the sluggard, isn't that a good Bible word? The sluggard is wiser in his own conceit than 7 men that can render a reason. Fools make excuses when they're just lazy. Fools give a reason about everything, why they can't do, cannot do. My English has been destroyed because I speak Thai too much now. But fools will make excuses about things when really they're covering up their own laziness. And, you know, many of us have done that at some point in our life about something. When you just need to do it. And you just need to do what you know you're supposed to do and get up and do it. And we can make it. Now, is it possible that there could have been a lion on the streets? Well, it's possible, because they did have them. Asiatic lions, it was a thing, but it's unlikely in the village that that's going to be that way. But you're raising scenarios that are really unlikely, and you're using them as a reason to not do what God has told you to do. That's the heart of it. You're manufacturing an excuse. You're searching for a reason that you can identify to not do what you should do. All right, that's the actions of a fool. And the Lord points that out. All right, next is in, there's not many. The next is in verse number 18 and 19, which says, as a madman who casteth firebrands, arrows, and death, so is the man that deceiveth his neighbor and saith, am not I in sport? Okay, fools will joke around when they're supposed to be serious. They don't discern the time. You know, sometimes people laugh when it's not a laughing time. That's inappropriate. You have wrongly called the hour. This is not jesting time. This is not laughing time. This is not joking time. This is a time to be serious and sober. And a fool has an inability to discern the hour. Am I not in sport? There was nothing funny about that. No, but it was a joke. It's inappropriate. Yeah, but it's not the time. And it's an action of a fool to do that. And you've got to discern, brethren, the time. There is a time for fun. There is a time when a joke is okay. There are occasions where that's not out of place. But there are other occasions where it's totally out of place. I've seen people sitting in church laughing and carrying on at a moment when that's just entirely inappropriate. So by God's definition, you are a fool. You are a fool. And we're not going to tell you that. We're just going to get on and do what we need to do. But the great God who formed all things will ensure that we are rewarded according to what we do. So it's so important to discern the hour. And it's important, by the way, to discern when to speak and when not to. Sometimes you do have something to say, but now is not the time to say it. Sometimes what you're about to say is entirely true, but now is not the time to say it. You see what I'm talking, these are the things that separate the wise and the foolish. This sort of stuff. Knowing when, discerning the hour, discerning the time. When is the time? Thai people love to have fun. I mean, they will leave a job if it's not fun. I mean, I'm serious. They love to have fun. Everything, their ethos in life is, does this make you happy? And So I understand, I work with a culture like that they have to have times where they can laugh and play and have fun no matter how old they are. They love to do that. So I don't want to take that away from them. That wouldn't be wise. But what I have got to do, I've got to teach them to discern the time. When are we having that time? But when is it time to be serious, to be sober, to be settled, to be listening? This is a time where I don't need to be talking, I need to be listening. And so the wise and the foolish, you have to discern that time. Fools joke around when it's not a joking time. Okay, next, verse number 17. He that passeth by and meddleth with strife, belonging not to him, is like one that taketh a dog by the ears. Well, you get that, right? You get that. I preached this in Thailand. I said, if you don't understand, we have dogs everywhere there. I said, if you don't understand that, just walk out there, pick that big one right there, and just pull his ears, and you'll know what that means. And they'll, they get it. They understand. So here it is. Fools get involved with things that are nothing to do with them. So this will shock some people. God has not called you to sort out every problem that everybody has in life. Okay, you're not the person who's supposed to fix every church in every place and fix every preacher and correct everybody who's doing everything. That's the actions of a fool. And what you have to discern is your area of jurisdiction. And jurisdiction to a believer is very important. Jurisdiction will clarify your boundaries. Okay, so I do not have jurisdiction over your family, and you do not have jurisdiction over mine. So I'm not coming into your house to point out things, and I'm not going to tell you about raising your kids in your home. I'm out of jurisdiction. I may see some things, but I'm not going to say it. Okay, now I am a preacher, and when I preach in my church, I'm in jurisdiction, and I get to preach the Word of God. But you have to decide, where is your jurisdiction? So if this is your Sunday school class and that is their Sunday school class, your jurisdiction is here, not there. Okay. If you run this, you do this, you don't do this. And you'll settle a lot of your heartaches in life by settling the matter of jurisdiction. And you'll know when to speak and when not to, and you'll know when you don't meddle, don't get involved with that. See, what we think is this. We think, well, if I can see it and I know what needs to be done, then therefore I have a right to say it. You do not. You do not. Your first two statements were correct. You can see it and you do know. But it's not given to you to fix all of that in everybody's life. Well, that's good. Isn't that good? And now you can just sit and understand God's God, and here it is, and you're not. All right? So he's in jurisdiction everywhere, but I'm not. And if you'll just settle that, it's going to take away a lot of your anxiety and stress and torments with the things you're seeing in other people's lives. First, ask yourself, is this my jurisdiction? Am I even supposed to say anything about this? Okay? You may be seeing it. You may know what to say. You may know exactly how to fix it, but it doesn't mean that that's your area of jurisdiction. Fools meddle with things that they should not. Okay, we're about done. Let's do verse 20. Kind of ties in. Where no wood is, there the fire goeth out. There the fire goeth out. So where there is no talebearer, the strife ceaseth. Okay, fools talk about others and spread stories. That's the action of a fool. You know, there are numbers of things that come to me that stop with me. They're not leaving me. I'm not passing it on. I'm not telling. I'm not sharing. I'm not giving it out. I'm not meant to. I'm not going to do that. Okay, there's been enough fire in this area. I'm not fueling it. And you've got to learn that just because you know something doesn't mean you're supposed to tell something. And just because it sort of came to you doesn't give you a license to then you're supposed to tell somebody else. And wouldn't the whole world be better if we would all understand that? I don't have to tell that story. One of the ways, I'm going to finish, one of the ways I examine myself in that area is this. If somebody else said that about me, would that be hurtful to me? If I knew that, would it hurt me? And if it would hurt me, then why would I do that to somebody else? Why would I do that? Why would I talk about somebody else to somebody else, knowing that if that person heard that, it would be terribly hurtful to them? It may even be hurtful that you just said it. It may be true, but it may be hurtful that you even just told it. And so these things are very practical, but they're quite life-changing. And your Christianity is only as good as the way you live it. You are the life you're living out. Oh, no, I know lots of the Bible, but you don't live a lot of the Bible. Okay, it's what you're living out.